say die. Yes, I just feel jaded, defeated and frustrated. Keep wishing maybe somehow I could change my face. Feel like a sheep inside wolf's clothing. I'm so filled with fear and loathing, and I worry that I'll never find my place. And I'm held hostage by these hotels. I could go out, but there's no telling what waits for me out there. Except I'm sure it isn't you. And me and what I really have been talking this thing out. We've been pondering life's mysteries. What is it all about? When the world teams up against us, we look it in the eye, and then dive in head first, screaming, hey you guys, Goonies never say die. Cause our lives take different courses. We get married, get divorces. Our regrets and our remorses wear us down until we die. So we just keep moving forward, onward, up Excelsior. Because persistence is the one resource we have that won't run dry. Yeah, me and what I really have been talking this thing out. We've been pondering life's mysteries. What is it all about? When the world teams up against us, we look it in the eye and dive in head.
Uh-huh. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is a very special Con Artist episode. We get to chat with Terry Malloy, and he is across the pond. Terry Malloy, as you may know, is the Emperor Dalek. He is the father of the Daleks. He's been on Doctor Who a number of times and a number of other BBC productions. Terry, how are you doing this morning?
Hello, Mark. Well, it is late afternoon here, 4 o'clock,
That's-
and the dogs are sitting all over me because it's dinner time. But you see, they're all suffering. Because I may have a few less fingers by the end of the interview. But yeah, no, I'm fine, thank you. Really good. Really good.
Most excellent. This morning back here in the States, we've got Lisa and we've got Cuddle Buddy Frankie. Thank you guys for joining us.
Right, Lisa?
Hi.
So, Terry, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into acting and how you got into so many of these great channels and shows and just kind of the history of the work that you've done?
Getting into acting came out of pure laziness, actually. I was in Liverpool in the 60s studying music and drama, basically music, because I studied school. And I was playing in a soul band.
Are you really going to walk in without
I was playing sax in a soul band that played the Cavern and all sorts of places around Liverpool and outside, and it was a big band, so we covered virtually all the soul stuff. It was Northern Soul was kicking in. The Beatles had kind of moved on. We were talking during 66 through to 68, and yeah, and I was planning to be a muso, really, but it got to the point where I just thought, wait a minute, I'm going to have to work really hard to be as good a musician as I'd want to be. And acting's dead easy, and there are more days off, and I just thought, no, that's the way for me, I think, So that's what I did. I kind of drifted into acting. In the days when you kind of could, really, I could get hold of an equity card relatively easily. And I'd kind of been acting all my life, really. I mean, my mother was from theatrical tradition. She, from the age of 12, had been a child performer on Variety in the UK, back in the 20s, 30s time. And so I suppose it was in the genes. I actually wanted to be a vet. That was my real ambition, to be a vet.
To be a vet?
What have you got there,
Lisa,
Lisa?
is there a way to microphone?
The neighbor's little boy came out and started playing, so yeah, it got a little noisy for a second.
You're getting a bit of gunfire, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy this guy.
Under the gun.
As I've got with the dog here. Right, now you can go down. There we go.
No, that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
so you want to be a veterinarian?
My father was in the RAF, and I knew I wasn't going to get into the RAF because at the age of 10, my eyesight had gone. And there was no way I was going to be a pilot or a navigator or anything like that. So yeah, a vet. I thought that I had an uncle who was a vet. I used to spend summers with. In Oldham, he had a mixed practice of a large animal practice on the outskirts, farms on the outskirts, and a small animal practice in the centre of the city. And that's what I was after until I did I don't know what your equivalents are over there, but our GCSEs or GCEs as they were, which you take when you're 16, which you then go on to study a higher level before you go to university. And I came through, you normally take 10 subjects, and which I did. But not one of those subjects I came through one was a science subject. It took me 3 goes to get that. And so I kind of thought, well, I don't think this is going the way that I'm going to need to go to be a vet. So I went on the arts side really, and as I say, studied music and drama. But so that's how I got into acting, as it were. And I've been very blessed actually that I've just fallen on my feet as I've gone along. I've never had a structure in my career, and I talk to people and they say, oh well, you've got to do this, because I certainly see this business as not being something that has a ladder you climb. You don't say you go from A to B to C to D. It's like concentric circles, and you could be anywhere on any of those concentric circles at any time in your life. You could be doing no musical theatre, but you're doing a lot of commercials, or you're doing a lot of radio and no film, and you get known, but you then also end up getting known in a particular métier or a particular media. And for me, it's always been radio, because I've always enjoyed the use of voice to create character. I mean, from a very early age. I mean, when my father was in the RAF, and we were posted out in Aden and Nairobi back in the 50s, and it was the time of the Goon Show, which was really big in the UK. And if you don't know what the Goon Show is, go and listen to it, because if you hadn't have had the Goon Show, you would never have had A, alternative comedy, or B, the Pythons, because they were the forerunners. Harry Seacombe, Peter Sellers, Spike Milligan. They created this anarchic radio program with these bizarre characters, which the BBC didn't understand at all. They really didn't understand it. They got away with murder because the BBC top brass didn't really understand what they were doing, and it was great. So we used to get these discs sent over to the base in Aden in the 50s for broadcasting on the little radio station on the base. And my mother, having been in variety and working in theatre, she was a member of the staff. She used to do the Forces and Family Favourites link-ups and Listen with Mother and a couple of other programmes. And so I used to be able to get into this studio and listen to these tapes, which came out on massive 12-inch discs. They were bigger than that. No, they were massive transcription discs. So they had an entire half-hour programme on them. And the other advantage was that the radio station on the base was the only place in Aden that had air conditioning. It was the only place, the studio. Nowhere else had air conditioning. It just wasn't around in those days, certainly not in Aden. And so it was a nice, cool place to be, But the records used to sit in a record library. And because it was so hot in Aden, and we're talking like 120 degrees, during the winter, during Christmas, you're getting 120 in the shade. These old, wax and vinyl records would warp. They're sitting in this thing, but the technicians had a way around that. They put them on a sheet of glass, take them out into the sun, hold them up in the sun for about 30 seconds, slap another piece of glass on top, and the record would actually steady out into a straight disc, shove it into the studio, play it on the thing, and by the time it had finished playing, it would start to warp up again. You know? But anyway, I listened to all these Goon shows, and I memorized them instantly, and then I found I could do all the voices, so I could play all these sort of arcane characters, like, you know, Neddy Seagull and you know, sort of Major Bloodknock, you know. Oh no, it's this cowardly major called Major Bloodknock. Oh, you want to join the army, do you, lad? Well, open your wallets and repeat after me. Help yourself. Oh, am I a soldier now? I've no idea. I just collect money. And these really characters that Sellers and all this lot created. So, yeah, it was. That's one of the things that I guess kind of dragged me into the attraction of radio. But as I say, there's no. You can't say I'm going up a ladder. It's, you know, people. It always amazes me that some people get on their high horses and think, well, I'm this sort of person. I can't possibly do that, you know, because I'm so important. Because you're not. I do things I enjoy doing, you know, and always have. But as I say, I've been very blessed in the work that I've been offered, which I haven't chased down particularly in any structured way. I haven't had a plan for my my you know, my career, if you can call it that. It's been a meandered, you know, sort of wandering through life and picking up and enjoying the things that I've done along the way. That was a long-winded answer, wasn't it, to a very simple question?
No, that was full of fantastic information. That's excellent. So, tell us about how you got into the role, particularly of Davros.
Oh, well, that was basically courtesy of the BBC technicians who had a strike. Resurrection of the Daleks was scheduled to be shot in early in 83, I think it was. But anyway, they had a strike, and everything, as a result, everything got moved forward by a month and a bit. And when they came to mount Resurrection of the Daleks, the director who was on it had moved on to another project. Michael Wisher, who's going to play Davros again, was on tour somewhere else. He wasn't available. And a new director called Matthew Robinson was brought in to direct it. And I'd literally just finished working with Matthew on a 6-month series down at Southern Television called Radio Phoenix, in which I played a nutcase of a disc jockey, you know, a bit sort of, you know, smashy and nicey, you know, sort of, you know, Mike Barker, the big round bear, and doing silly voices. And he thought, right, okay, I know you can probably do the voice. And so he just rang me up out of the blue and said, do you know anything about the Daleks? Do you know about Doctor Who? I said, yeah, of course. God, I was 16 when it started. I was Geek Central, you know, Hartnell, Troughton, absolutely, you know. He said, so you know the Daleks? I said, yeah, of course I do. And Davros? I said, who's he? Because I'd stopped watching after Troughton. I was off at university and doing other things. So I missed Pertwee and Baker completely. And he said, right. And so he sat me down in front of Genesis and said, that's Davros, you know, we want to bring him back. And would you think you'd like to do it, you know? Now, I don't know many actors who would say no.
Right.
And the attraction was the voice. Because you look at that mask and it was very immobile. I thought the character's got to come from the voice. And if there's one thing I know I can do is create characters with voice. And I just thought this is great. It's going to be like doing radio on television, you know. But you know, with a bit more grit and edge to it. So yeah, that was it. It was literally as simple as that. I didn't audition to anybody. I didn't even meet the producers or anybody until we got into rehearsals. And we actually used to rehearse in those days. It was great. You know, you actually had the luxury of 2 weeks of rehearsing before you went into the studio. It used to be this big block of rooms in North Acton. We used to call them the Acton Hilton. It had nothing to do with Hilton hotels. It was just a very big block of rehearsal rooms where everything that the BBC did was rehearsed. Variety shows, drama shows, whatever they may be. So you go up to the canteen on the top floor for lunch, and it was like a map of every person who worked in the entertainment industry in the UK at that particular time, because everyone was working at the Acton Hilton. So we rehearsed there for 2 weeks before we actually got into the studio. I think my abiding recollection of knowing that I was now in charge of the Daleks, we used to have a producer's run right at the end of this 2-week period, where John Mason Turner and all the techies would come in and stand around with clipboards, and we would do the story in story order on the floor so they could see how it would pan out and make all their relevant notes. And we used to have a couple of Daleks there, Dalek operators doing stuff, but they were just using the bottom half of the Dalek, you know. But during the run, they had to be inside these Dalek, because that's what JMT wanted. Anyway, I went down early after lunch before the producer run in the afternoon, and hush, no, nobody there. Wait.
It sounds like you're under fire too.
Yeah, it's dinner time. You see, we live in the middle of the country, and nobody comes past. Very rarely. Yeah, we do have a tendency for having phantom barbarians pop in and give us a going over. So I have to sit done. Yeah, anyway, so I came down after lunch. I went to go and have a check over my script. And so I walked into the rehearsal room, totally empty. There was a couple of 3 Daleks in the corner there. And so I just wandered across the room to go and pick up my script. And as I walked past the Daleks, all 3 eye stalks followed me. And there was just this moment of going, ooh, and then I thought, no, these are my boys. And I thought, yes, okay, yeah. Because the Dalek operated inside the Daleks. Yeah. So that was it. That's how I got into Doctor Who, thinking it was a 2-week job. You know, I thought that's it. I've done me Doctor Who bits, and then I'll be off. But JNT liked what he saw, and the next time round when Colin came in, they wanted Davros back again. They asked me to come back and reprise it, and then again with Sylvester. So it's, again, I never thought it. I love playing it, and I've enjoyed playing it, and I never thought then that, you know, 30 years later, I'd still be here talking about it, or going to events and meeting fans who have been fans probably as long as I have, you know, because I'm a fan of the program as well.
Nice. So that's led to a lot of Doctor Who fan conventions. What kind of conventions are you getting around to all the time now?
I think the year before last, I think I did 36 in different parts of the world, including, I think there's about 6 or 7 in the States, and 1 in Germany and Australia, and a lot in the UK. And they vary in size. I mean, I'm sure you're aware that there are the massive kind of what I call corporate conventions, which are, you know, right, so enormous, you know, that they're like juggernauts. And they tend to be more Comic Cons than you get. There's a couple of Who conventions a bit like that, but the Comic Cons have become a kind of a thing of themselves, which they have over here as well. But I tend to go for, if I can, the pure Doctor Who ones, and hopefully the ones that are fan-based, the ones that have been built up by fans, created by fans, and have that essence of interaction. You know, because I hate going to conventions where I'm shunted down corridors and in on a stage and then shunted back down another corridor. You sat behind a desk and there's no, you know, you don't get to meet people. One of the favourite conventions I have over here is a thing called Regenerations in Swansea, which in fact Annika Wills and I kind of badgered Kerry Woodward into setting up many years ago. And Kerry's great because he's such a fan. He just loves doing the convention for the sake of the joy it gives to everyone. And he mainly funds it himself. And he's not out really to make money out of it. If he can break even, that's great. But he limits the number of attendees. He says, no, there's no more than 250 attendees, as in a small hotel. But he'll have 12 major guests. You know, he'll have 2 doctors. He'll have Derek Jacobi. He'll have, you know, 2 or 3 companions, a couple of villains, comic artists, things like this, and for entertainment, it won't be sort of Doctor Who themed all the time. He'll get the local Neath male voice Welsh choir in to do an evening's entertainment, But the joy of that is watching people like Philip Maddock with tears streaming down their faces while you've got a Welsh choir singing Bread of Heaven, extraordinary. And that level of love and interaction is the thing I survive on. I just think it's great. It's lovely to interact with people who we have a commonality in that we all love the program, whether we're on this side of the camera or that side of the camera, So there's a lot to talk about. It's like being part of a giant extended family, and wherever in the world you are, you're going to find a member of that family, and you get down and dirty with a drink or two, and the joy of watching Nick Courtney sitting in a bar with a pint in one hand and a cigarette in the other, just chatting to people, which he loved doing, that's priceless. And it cuts away this whole sort of stratified star inverted commas thing, which so many conventions tend to get into, And you think that's not actually what it's about. People want relationship. They don't want there are people who go, and I've been at conventions where people are lost for words when they meet you because they're so hyped up about meeting somebody who's been, in a particular character that they love. And I just say, look, I'm the same as everyone else. I go to the toilet, I eat, I fart, I'm nothing special, I'm just me. And, all the mystery that a lot of actors surround themselves with, I just think, well, that's not the way I work, and I'm sure you don't yourself underneath. You try to con yourself into believing that these things are important, and you've got the talent, you've got the ability to do it, just do it, and that's the way it runs.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have gotten a couple of comments on a couple of the shares about the very unique hat that you're wearing, the hat that you're wearing.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's one I think that was made by the airship Gypsy Gold, but it looks like you've adapted it a little bit.
I have done it, yeah, a little. I did it literally, but yes, this was just given to me out of the blue. Wait. Because the dogs are not letting this in, they're now Costa, who very rarely actually plays anything. He's now got a ball and he's chasing around the floor. Until he thinks that's a total violence. Come here. What? No, this was suddenly presented to me at when I was sitting at my table. Just made, never measured me or anything. It was just done. And also, I have a little bear. Some people may know Monty, and Monty also presented with a little Dalek fez. So it's a kind of steampunk fez, but with little Dalek things on the top. The accoutrement around the side I put in, which is sort of little hair, for when I did a thing at Regeneration Who in Baltimore just recently, and I was asked to do a variety show. It's meant to be the Davros variety show, but we changed it to the Dave Ross variety show. And in honor of a comedian, Tommy Cooper. Now, Tommy Cooper's trademark was a fez. And he also had hair, natural hair, that wasn't quite as mad as this, but still fairly mad. And if you haven't seen Tommy Cooper, I suggest you do look him up on the web. He's one of the funniest comedians. You just look at him, you start laughing, because he was a massive guy and a very good magician, and all his act was around magic, but it always went wrong. And he'd only come out to do something and then break off into telling you about something else, and then come back. And he had this style of delivery that he had a very slow voice like this, sort of quite gravelly, and I used to laugh a lot. So immediately you're starting to laugh because he's laughing, and they said, right, there's a spoon jar, spoon jar. Everything was that, and everything went wrong. Or he would show you how the trick worked, supposedly inadvertently, but he actually was all built in. And he had all these terrible one-line jokes, like I told the wife, I said, I said to the wife, I'm going to start a theatre company. She says, you having me on? I said, well, I'm old in auditions, but I can't promise anything. Or, you know, I went to the doctor. I said, doctor, I feel like a pair of curtains. He said, well, pull yourself together. But he got away with it, and everything was. So I went to the room like that, not like that, like that. It was not like that. It was like that, like that. Yeah. So this is my homage to Tommy, which I used partly as a character when I did the Dave Ross variety. Dave Ross was this character, and Dave Ross played ukulele. And had a backing group called the Dalekettes, which was in fact Cat Smith, Angela Pritchard, and another wonderful lady who joined us on that time there as well, and it was great. So we play lots of silly ukulele songs and entertain the crowd, as well as a lot of other things. There were lots of other stuff in the show. So, yeah. Hence that. Yeah. I'll take this. That's hot now. Air suit as everyone thinks I am. Right, yeah. You sit there. That's it.
So, tell us a little bit about Monty. Does Monty travel along with you when you go on your various adventures? Uh-huh.
Yeah, Monty is. Monty is 80 plus years old. Monty was my bear.
Oh my!
Little. Not that I'm 80, but I acquired him when he was about 10 years old. And he's been with me all my life. And I loved Monty to bits, literally to bits. By the time I was, mid-teens, there was not much of him left. His arm was off and his ear had gone, he had no eyes. His stuffing was coming out, his growl, his squeak had gone. And Monty is actually a Merrythought bear. Those of you who know anything about bears, Monty is a Merrythought bear, which was a company that was set up in the UK, in Stourbridge, way back in the 30s. They still produce bears today, but they're a bit like, in those days, they're a bit like the English version of Stife. They've got the little humpy back, they've got the long arms, all articulated limbs, so all this happens. And he's got a squeak now. He used to have a growl. But he also used to have a lot of fur. He used to have a lot of kind of mohair fur on him, but that's been worn away with age. Uh-huh. So, as I say, he was literally in bits. And about 10 years ago, I think there's a man in Norfolk where I live who restores antique bears, only antique bears. And he took Monty on and brought him back into rude health. So I said to Monty, you and I have been together a long time, and I think it's time you had a few special moments now. So I take Monty with me everywhere I go, and he has selfies, outside the White House, and in front of the Hollywood sign. He sits on the flight deck of a jumbo jet and lands it in Chicago, and he's getting very well known, Monty. He's in fact, I was at Coal Hill Convention in New Hampshire last year, and everyone brought their own little plushies and soft toys and everything. Monty had his own panel and his own photo shoot. I didn't get one, but he did. So yeah, he's getting quite well known at the moment, and he's we shouldn't really talk about him too loud because he gets so big-headed. And I've got other bears who there's Maximilian, who is a Stife, and Squish Face and Plato, and Monty spends a lot of time bragging, and I'm just trying to, his head's getting too big. So here's Kirk. He's actually having a book written about him at the moment, or he's writing his own book, should we say, which will be published hopefully in by Christmas time, with some publishers who publish some of Colin Baker's things.
So he'll be like hanging around with the likes of Paddington now pretty soon.
Oh, Paddington, Schmaddington. I mean, really, forget it. No, he's
that all has been.
This
Paddington. That all has been.
He's all washed up.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gone. Monty's. I mean, this book is sort of a story of his life up till now, in a general sort of way, but it's kind of being done as a poem. But from then on, there are other areas of Monty's life which are not really children's book stuff, because he has a dark side. His actual name is Montmorency Montgomery Bear. Now, Montgomery is British general, very upright, very heroic. Montmorency is a bit of a villain, and so he's got a dark side to him as Monty, and that smile is very deceptive. That smile is extremely
He's
deceptive.
quite the bear around town.
Oh yes, oh yes. And I've come back to my hotel room and found him with his head down the toilets after a bad night out with the other bears, haven't I? Yeah.
Those nights myself.
So he's mostly like a lush then, but what else is going on in his dark side? Do we get a peek into that before the book, or do we have to wait for the book to get Monty's dark side?
No, he's a great japester. He's a great game player, and he's also a great escape artist. And I recently, when I was at Regen, I actually had to have a harness made for him, because I used to carry him in my backpack, when I was going places. And 3 times he made an escape for freedom in the middle of airports. And I'd get to the plane and find he wasn't in my backpack. I'd have to go retracing my steps to find him, So now there's a guy there who was an armourer and made chainmail stuff, quite a bit of steampunky chainmail stuff. So I asked him if he could just put, something, a little harnessy thing that I could, attach him to my belt or something. Well, he produced this massive, great steel encompassing thing, which looks a bit like a bondage harness.
So it's Monty After Dark.
Monty After Dark. In fact, when I put it on, people sort of said, "Oh, you're off down Baltimore, the red light district later." I said, "Well, I'm not really, but he probably will be." And this great chain that goes around my neck, or like an attached around. So yeah, he has a dark side to him. And talking to the publishers, depending on how this one goes, we may have to turn the second book into a graphic novel. How graphic it would be, one can only...
So I want to be in the Monty After Dark series. I want to read it.
Monty After Dark.
And then I want to hear about the full Monty at some point.
Oh yes, well he's done that most of his life.
I think we've all realized cancer just an accessory. They're not a necessity.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I'm the accessory to him. I mean, he gets more. I mean, I get to the point now where people invite me to a convention. Say, "You are going to bring Monty, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah. Do you really want me? I mean, I could just send him. You can just, He's actually, somebody made me a paw print stamp to put on photos. So he's getting a bit big-headed, because he's now getting his own photographs and his own little paw print stamp for people, Aren't you? Eh? Yeah. Yeah, I know it's time for a drink. It's later. Now go and sit over there. Be good. There we are. Right. Sorry about that.
What conventions can folks here in the U.S. see you at this year? I know you're going to be coming to British Fest here soon.
I will be coming to British Fest. That's at the beginning of June. Before that, in fact, 20th, 21st, I will be in Rochester, New York State for Flower City 3 with Colin. Colin's going to be there, and myself. And then I am doing the one in Omaha. See, they all kind of merge into a time kind of thing. There's definitely one in Omaha I'm doing, which I think is Time Fest. Time Fest. Oh God, sorry. They would never forgive me if I couldn't say what it was. I shall look at that. They're the best thing. Hey, look, I live on this. I mean, I live on this. If I don't have this, I don't know who I am or where I am. But what is it? Time Lord Expo in Ohio. That's
Okay.
13th of October, 13th, 14th, 15th of October. Yeah. So those are the three I've got in at the moment. I can always change if somebody wants to book me. I'm readily available. But I've got a pile of stuff going through, local stuff in the UK in between that, as well as doing any other jobs that come up, like the indie films I've got planned as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
What indie films are you doing? Did we talk about this on? We talked a little bit about it beforehand, but I don't know if we've talked about it.
Yeah. I'm doing 2 indie films. One which has been on the slates for ages, and we've never managed to get round to, because they try to slot it in when they've got the time and the money and the location available. One called Humber City, which is part of a web series that's been going on for many years about a police force in Humberside. And they asked me to come in as a guest on that, to play the head of security at a rugby football ground. And it's just one scene, but it's a really nice, gritty scene. But trying to get me and the other actors and the location together at the same time has not proved very, very easy. The other thing is a piece called Homeless Ashes, which has been written and is being directed by Mark Zammit. And Mark, I don't know if any of you have seen Pandorica. He did a movie called Pandorica, and he was also in Cosmos with me a year ago. The web series Cosmos. He played the guy who fitted the little, psychic probe things to the comatose daughter. And he's a very, very, very talented actor and writer, and he's producing this book called Homeless Ashes, which is about a homeless kid, a homeless guy, who becomes deliberately homeless and off the grid when he's about 10, and he kills his stepfather who's attacking his mother, and then literally flees and lives off the grid until he's in his mid-20s, 30s. But he's got a brilliant ability for inventing things or mending things, and it's all to do with homeless people. It really highlights the pain and the trouble and the horror of living in a homeless environment in this country, and that I think goes for anywhere else in the world where you suddenly find yourself homeless for whatever reason it may be. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Again, that's something that's being Indigo funded. So if you go online and find Homeless Ashes, look it up. There's a brilliant trailer which is already done of some of the scenes. And we've now in a position where he's managed to get enough funding for us to do the first part of the film, and that will be happening in the next couple of months. But Homeless Ashes, if you see it, have a look at the trailer. If you want to throw some money in the pot, it would be more than welcome. Because I think a lot of the really good creative stuff now is being done by independents who are self-funding or crowdfunding things, so that their vision can go through and is not hampered by committees that suddenly get in the way of good creative work when it goes into studios and into various corporate bodies who say, oh, well, I think we should be doing this and we should be doing that. Run with the creatives, that's how a lot of the really good BBC programs are made. They were given the free rein to do them. And when you give creative people free rein and the vision to do something, don't get all iffy and say, oh, well, we can't do that because that doesn't talk to the American market, or that doesn't talk to the Asian market, and we've got to have casting that is this, that, and the other. It can sometimes just block everything out, and you're squeezing the pit and saying, well, you need to have this sort of beginning or this sort of an ending. Let the creative run with it. If it's going to work, it's going to work. 9 times out of 10, a lot of the stuff I see, I think, wow, that would never happen in the studio environment.
Yeah. I think that definitely is one of the strengths of the indie movies. And it makes me think of a question. I'm sure you hear it quite a bit, but if you could have a dream role, if something just came into it, what would that role look like, or who would that role be?
Oh God, that's awful. It's an awful question. It's a very good question, but it's an awful question to ask an actor, certainly someone like me, because I have sometimes difficulty equating what this is with what's in my head as to what I feel I could do, because I spent so much time on radio creating characters, which it doesn't matter what I look like, so I can play, 6'4" heroic, even today, 30-year-old ripped young men, or 90-year-old West Indian, drug dealer, anything, which physically I can't do. So if we're talking roles, then my role would have to be on radio, because that's it. But the older I get, the more I enjoy the roles that I'm creating at the moment. There isn't one that, the only role I ever wanted to play was Edmund in King Lear, who is the bastard. And he's such a good character. And he's the one who rails against the stupidity of astronomy and putting our lives up in the hands of the stars and the gods and all of this. And that really speaks to me. And as a character, it's such a strong character. He's always made out to be the villain, a bit like Richard III. And yet when I saw Ian Holm play Richard III, it was the first time I thought, my God, I've got sympathy for this man. Because he was basically playing the game. Even within Shakespeare's words, which were fuddled to be in keeping with the political correctness of the Elizabethan era, that Richard was a bastard and an awful person. Yet in reality, Richard III was one of the best kings England had in terms of actually ruling the land. And the same with Edmund. He was a misjudged guy. He was a bastard, out of place, out of time, and a misunderstood guy. So I play misunderstood guys, Davros is misunderstood. The Doctor always misunderstands him. Everyone misunderstands him. He's such a nice guy. He really is, So yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. How Davros is a nice guy.
Well, with anybody, people sort of say, "What's it like being evil?" I said, "I've no idea. I'm not evil. There's no such thing. You're not born evil. This is something that happens, and it's a bit like, who makes the king? Not the person. It's the reaction of the people to them. So who makes the evil person? Not the person themselves. Generally, it's the reaction of other people to what they do. And when we did I, Davros, we were talking, because we were, I, Davros is a Big Finish audio mini-series which traces Davros from a 15-year-old boy right up to the creation of the first Dalek. We had to hook it on something. We said, well, where did this come from? Where did this journey start? And how did it unravel? What was the drive behind it? And we were talking about the possibility of Davros having a condition somewhere on the autistic spectrum, Asperger's syndrome, whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people with Asperger's syndrome are going to end up as Davros, but there are qualities there of somebody with a savvy mind, a brilliant mind, and an inability to cope with socially with other people, the ability to see a problem, and the brilliance of mind to see the solution to the problem, and the determination to blow through anything that's in his way to get that problem solved. And you look at Revelation, what has he done? He solved the problem of hunger in the universe, of starvation. He solved it. He's the great healer. He's done it. Yeah, okay, he's using dead bodies. What's the problem? They're dead. He doesn't see the moral compass there. We see the moral compass and say, that's outrageous, you can't do that, it's evil. No, it's not evil. Yeah, okay, he made a few Daleks along the way as well, but what's that about? He's just, that's his scientific mind. He likes to try things out. So there is always a reason why people do things. It's not just pure evil. And I think the same, that's always been my way of having to play Davros. I've got to believe in him as wanting to do the right thing. And actually, you listen to a number of the Big Finish stories, certainly ones I've done with Colin, and you're halfway through, you think, wait a minute, the Doctor's a bit of a tosser, isn't he? I mean, he's really given it hard to poor Davros, and Davros is doing his best. He's actually trying to solve things, and the Doctor's shoving a bloody spanner in the works, you know, get out of there. And then you realise that there is a little flip at the end, and you know, he has got another agenda. But, you know, he doesn't see that necessarily as agenda, but as a natural progression. And he's constantly bemused as to why the Doctor finds him, you know, so horrid. Because, you know, because it's like his relationship with the Doctor it's symbiotic. They need each other. They are both the only people with the same intellectual level. They are both alone, and they kind of need each other. It's like a three-dimensional game of chess, not to do with the bangs and the whistles. It's like, can I tip you over this time? You know, can I wrong-foot you this time in this particular story or game that we're playing with each other? And Davros says to the Doctor in one of the big finishes, you do realise that you're the closest thing I have to a friend. And you just think, whoa, you know, there's something there. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of makes you wonder why they don't play that angle up more in the show. They've been trying to chase down the Master, but it's definitely one of those that you could see between Davros and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Well, golly, we've come to a point where we've got a few minutes left. Okay. What are the things that you want the audience to know about you, about your work, and about the parts that you play? What do you want to be remembered for?
Well, like Spike Milligan, when he died, he had on his suit, I told you I was ill. That's what he had on his gravestone. I said I was ill. Not for that. No, I don't know. He did his best, is all. I mean, if anybody can do their best and come away from it thinking, well, it may not have worked, but I tried what I could. That's it. And I hopefully made people laugh along the way. That's where I want to be. I love doing audio. I mean, The Archers, for those of you who don't know, that's the longest running radio serial in the world. It's been going since 1951 every day of the week, apart from Saturday, with an omnibus on the Sunday. Since 1942, I've been in it for 44 years, and playing the same character. So I've grown up with the program from a 23-year-old. I play a character called Mike Tucker, who's The Archers is set in a fictitious farming community in the middle of England called Ambridge, and the Archers are the main family in it. And there's lots of other characters around. I play a character called Mike Tucker, who used to be the herd manager at the Archers farm, and then had his own farm, went bankrupt, lost an eye, lost his wife, remarried, has a Down syndrome child in a late marriage, and there's all sorts of. It's the reality of a rural community, and it always has been since 1951. Very accurately reflects what happens in the thing. That's that and Doctor Who have been two of the most iconic parts I could have wished to have played during my career, and they kind of fell into my lap, both of them. But radio is my métier. That's where I love being. There's a series called The Scary Fires, which I was doing with Nick Courtney for many years, until sadly he died, and now David Warner is on side, and we've just recorded the latest one of those called The Gnomes of Death. So if any of you are Scary Fires fans, come June, The Gnomes of Death will be hitting your CD players, or maybe your gardens. So be very careful, because you could easily lose your feet. I'll say no more. The Scary Fires is hysterical. It's just a bizarre cult thing which is set in the 1930s, revolving around a detective sergeant, Thumper Crow, who goes around hitting people, played by David Warner. It was originally an octogenarian detective inspector called Inspector Lionheart, played by Nick Courtney, who went around thumping people, and myself playing a sort of bizarre little professor called Professor Edward Dunning, who's a bit of a ghost story writer. Oh, Christ. They become MI13, in charge of solving psychic problems, like, Cromwell coming back with his skeleton army to wipe out George V at his coronation, or we do send-ups of things like the Devil of Denge Marsh, which was a straight steal of the Wicker Man, except we had a wicker fish in which I was sacrificed, using most of the dialogue from the films, So we're great plagiarists, and it's very arch, very tongue-in-cheek, and it's in the legacy of the Goon Show as well, and those things I love. And I've also just done Hamlet, which is coming out for Big Finish, playing Polonius. So that's due to be released in a minute now. So look out for that one too.
Fantastic. So yeah, you're absolutely busy all the time. That's excellent.
No, I thankfully at my advanced age now, I have time to poddle around as well. As get busy. But when I get busy, I throw myself into it because I enjoy it. I enjoy work. It's not something that is a chore to me. I enjoy it, whether it's conventions and meeting people or getting in the studio and creating something new. It's each day is a different day. I don't think I could ever have managed a life where I had to be in one place every day from a particular time to another particular time, and with a certain number of days off, which I knew about in advance. The thing I like about the life that I've had and continue to have, and long may that last, is that I sit here, this phone can ring, and tomorrow I could be, planning to go off to the other side of the world, or, or even up to Scunthorpe or somewhere like that in the UK. So it's every day's new. It's a new day every day. It's So I seize the day, carpe diem, and live the days as they are. Don't worry about what went. That'll be other people's opinion and history, whatever. Don't worry about what's coming up, because you never know. I could walk out the door in 10 minutes time and a large brick could fall on my head, from where, I don't know, but that could happen as well. So grab the moment, seize it, enjoy it. This is it. There's no rehearsal. This isn't the rehearsal, you're not waiting for something else to happen. This is it. So go with it.
Most excellent. Where do people find you on social media? How do they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter as @Tucker's Patch. That's TuckerSpatch, which is a reference to the Archers, because I play a character called Mike Tucker, and it's Tucker's Patch because that's where I am, and also because he has an eye patch. You see, it's all very clever, isn't it? And on Facebook, I'm on just Terry Malloy. You dig me up there. There's an official page and there's a personal page. So people catch me wherever they can. So, yeah. I'm thinking about going on Instagram, but I need to think that one through yet. But
where do we find Monty?
Monty?
Yeah. I was going to say, Instagram may be Monty's thing.
I think at some point he's going to have his own page, or Twitter feed or something. But, yeah, we'll see. At the moment, it's basically getting him out of the pub every night. That's the main place where he tends to hang out. So But watch this space. There's Monty waving bye bye. Did you enjoy that? Did you like seeing everyone? See more people. What? No, well you can't. No. You've got to go and feed the dogs. No, they can't starve.
Well,
go.
Real quick before we go, if we could get a quick selfie, if you get a screen capture for us there, Frankie, where we're all waving and saying, it'd be a really good thing.
Okay.
Everyone on the count. Everyone say chicken banana. Chicken banana.
We're good.
All right. Thank everyone for watching us here this Sunday morning. And we appreciate the time. Terry, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Cuddle Buddy.
Over short.
It was so good seeing you again.
Thank you. More snowballs. That's what we need.
More
Yeah.
snow.
Here you go.
Lisa, thank you for joining us. Frankie's got the
Thanks
snowball.
for having me.
We want to make sure to thank executive producer Larry and the animal wrangler Charlene for giving us this opportunity. Thank you all so very much for helping out, and we will see you back Thursday.
I have something to add. We are soon going to be on Twitter and a Twitch page we have for Con Artist Media.
Okay, yeah.
We'll post those
Setting
links
it
in
up
the-
so we're no longer using the Jellybean name. So yeah.
Yep. So we'll set that up, and you'll be able to connect with us soon on those pages, and we'll link that on the Facebook so you can follow us easier if you would like to do that.
Great.
Absolutely. And then we will be back on the air Thursday evening with Greg Peters. Greg did a lot of work with
Tiny Toons.
Pinky and the Brain
Mhm.
and Tiny Toon Adventures and a number of others. So we'll be able to talk to the animator Greg Peters. And so thank you once again, Terry, and we'll see you all on Thursday.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.